Pictures that you will now be seeing on the left of your screens is the crawling order. In 1919, after 6 days of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, General Dyer had come up with a crawling order which was effective for a week. Dyer had asked his lower rank officials to place a flogging booth in the middle of the lane, and both ends of the street, roughly 180 meters long, were encircled by British soldiers who were strictly ordered that no one should be allowed to walk through the 180-meter long stretch. Anyone who would pass through it needed to crawl. The soldiers were directed by Dyer to whip those who were not able to pass through the lane crawling. That was how the Brits valued an Indian life. 100 years later, this is 2023, the MV Leela Norfolk, a hijacked Liberian flagged vessel near Somalia coast, thousands of nautical miles away from the Indian coast, had 21 Indians on it. The Indian Navy got there within a period of 1 day. The Marine commandos entered the ship and brought all of them back safe. That's the value of an Indian life clearly today. Well, this same commitment has been shown during the Uttarkashi tunnel rescue operation, remember, that took place recently. Operation Ganga in Ukraine, Operation Ajay in Israel, and Operation Kaveri in Sudan as well. Joining us at this point is Major General Dhruv Katoj, defense expert. We also have Sumit Peer, political commentator, joining us live. Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, is also with us live. Major General Katoj, let me begin with you first. The value of an Indian life truly very, very high today, isn't it, sir? And this latest Navy rescue operation shows it all.
Thank you, Uday. Uday, on this, I can't agree with you more. You see, I've also interacted with many people who are living abroad, including some of my relatives. And one thing which they consistently tell me is that even our own embassies, the way they interact with the Indians today, and the way the citizens of that particular country interact with the Indians is truly phenomenal. It has seen a sea change. It is something which they could not have ever imagined. That is the value of India's prestige today. That is the value of the Indian life. And I think while in this particular case, it was a sea rescue, it was an anti-piracy operation. But I think anything that happens where Indians are involved, I think the government of India is going to get very, very actively involved in looking after their interests and their welfare. I think a more potent example, this of course is a very potent example, but even a more potent example than this was the way we have looked after the interest of our 8 Navy officers in Qatar. Now, they haven't come back yet, but the death sentence has been commuted. That itself is a very important first step, because once death takes place, then there are no questions or arguments after that. So any time whenever India is involved outside, I think the Indian government is getting involved. This gives a sense of pride to all the citizens of India who are within the country, people like me who are here in India now, and to every single Indian who is abroad. And each of them know that if something happens in the country where I'm staying, the government of India will get me back safely. I think that's a very important message. And as the messaging is the key in today's world, I think it has a very powerful impact, not just on Indians, but on people across the world. So when we start viewing ourselves and when we start valuing our life, other nations too start valuing you. I think that is the message which goes across. Uday.
Yes, let me quickly draw in Sumit Peer as well for his comment on this. Sumit, we were comparing it to what used to happen with General Dyer. Their Brits, the Brits at that time value for our Indian life. They would whip people if they wouldn't crawl. Now, look at India, India's position, Indian citizens' value. Life, one life's value, not just within our territories, but anywhere in the world.
Uday, thank you for having me on this important show. First of all, the Indian Navy, Marcos, and the Indian Ministry of Defense, External Affairs, and all the ministries involved and all the people involved in the operation deserve our utmost salute and congratulations. On the behalf of nation, I take this opportunity to salute them because this is what they have done. The message which India is giving, every life matters. We have seen these Hollywood movies where they say, we never leave a man behind. That used to be the American tagline, and that is how a movie used to revolve around. Now, whenever you look of any of the operations happening any in the world, let it be Ukraine, let it be Israel, let it be Ganga, let it be, the Uttarakhand, let it be on the high seas, the same motive is carried out to the last dot and to the last, full stop. Because now we are giving a very clear message. Indian lives matter, Indian assets matter, India matters. Look, in the Red Sea, India was invited by United States to join a 10, 20 country alliance, which we refused. We said we'll go on our own and we have the capability, Indian Navy has the capability to protect its interests. We will not be a part of any alliance. We are not going to fight anybody's war. Now, yesterday, push comes to shove. Even before that, when the Norwegian vessel was kidnapped, Indian Navy was the first one to respond. Yesterday, Indians on board, pirates tried to do their thing. But by the time Indian Navy arrived, by the time Marcos arrived, these pirates had fled the ship. They were fearing Marcos. Now, the Marcos are rated, better than Navy SEALs today. I think #1 in the world as per some ratings. That is the stature of Indian commandos. That is the stature of Indian military. Pirates and these, all these nefarious elements fear us. Before we reached the scene, they fled the ship and left and did not touch anybody, did not touch a cargo, did not try to harm us because they know the implications will be very dire. How many countries today have this capability to protect its access everywhere? We are not part of any alliance. We are not part of any group. And there is no division. There is no classification. There was a time if you were elite, if you are rich, if you are famous, then the world will move for you. We have seen the time when the Von Anderson, after slaughtering 20,000 people, was given a safe escort. He was given a plane and let to go out of India. And we are seeing the town when our Shramjeevis or our brothers who were building the tunnel got stuck. The chief minister is there, Nitin Gadkari ji is there, VK Singh ji is there. All the ministers are camping there. They did Havan, they did Puja, and they did everything. They got the best tunnel experts in the world to take them alive. Not even one person lost a life, and we are proud of that. And even yesterday, even the high seas, within 24 hours, we could rescue our ship. We could send the message to the world. We have released the videos. We have released the videos of showing Marcos in action. That is the message to the whole world that India means business and India can protect its interests. So what we were claiming earlier, we don't need to be a part of any alliance. We don't need to fight anybody's war. We don't need to put any foot on the ground. But still, we have the capability to protect our assets with or without anybody's help and collaboration. That is what we have proved, Uday. Unfortunately, a lot of countries do not have this military might and the muscle to protect their assets in the Red Sea. We have seen unfortunate incidents happen with, some of the ships. For example, Israeli ships have been worst hit, and there are other countries which have been worst hit. Some ships have been kidnapped and docked at the port of Yemen, but we had the capability to rescue our men, machine, and our pride. That is the new India under Prime Minister Modi, where every life matters. It doesn't matter you are a labor, you are a sailor, you are an elite, or you are the last man on the ground. That socio-economic division, my Amir Admi ki Zindagi matters, that is gone now. Anybody, everybody, as long as you are an Indian, we are the only country who could take people out of Ukraine, not only our people, but even of the surrounding countries. We could have the capability to take them out. Ukrainians listen to us, Russians listen to us. Now today, whoever helped us, thank you very much to them. And our military, our commandos did what they were supposed to do in the shortest possible time. It's a record, Uday, we all should be proud of. And we should now start believing, not the Hollywood movies, nobody will be left alive, but our real life scenarios, our real life events, and convey this message. When you are an Indian, you are having an Indian passport, or you are an Indian national, the government of India there is to take care of you, irrespective of your socio-economic or political status. It does not matter. I think this is a very, very powerful message what the Modi government is giving to the whole world, and our military is telling that we can deliver. Can asman ho, zameen ho, ya samundar ho, wherever we are required, we can deliver. There are people like General Katoch on the panel who have trained these people, who have led these people, and it's a pride to be on the panel with you and Professor Nalpat and talking about this emotive subject, which brings national pride to all of us, Uday.
All right, let me in fact quickly take that across to Professor Madhav Nalapat as well. Professor Nalapat, this latest Navy operation just showcasing India's how much India values each Indian's life, our diaspora life, extremely important for us. Anywhere they may be stuck in the world, we will save them. Be it on land, in the air, or at sea, or even underground, as we saw recently in Uttarkashi. Professor Nalapat.
Uday, you very correctly talked about 100 years back and now, very correctly. And the fact is that even after independence, the first Governor General of India, later on that title became the President of India, was an Englishman. The first army chief was an Englishman. And unfortunately, that is among the reasons why a very substantial part of Kashmir was continued to be held by Pakistan, and we did not take it over. A lot of mischief was played by that particular army chief. That was the lack of self-confidence that we had, even after securing independence. As you very correctly said, the situation is very different now, and the present government is fully confident not only of itself, not only but of the Indian people. And that is where the importance comes in of valuing the Indian people. And in the past, for example, India would consult all kinds of countries before doing something. There are very few examples in India, since 1947, where those kind of consultation did not take place, and India acted, and among that was the Bangladesh operation. But the fact is that these days there's no question of that. If an Indian is involved, if the Indian interest is involved, India will act. And irrespective of whether other countries act or not, India will act. And it really doesn't matter where or when or how, but India will act. I think that is the new self-confidence of the Indian people. And that self-confidence has come from the present Indian leadership, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He comes himself from the people. And he knows what the people of India are. He is confident about the people, and as a consequence of that, he makes sure that every Indian is made to feel secure when he or she travels abroad, made to feel that there is a government watching over you, and I think that is a very, very welcome change, Uday.
Yes, sir. It's important also, Professor Nalapur, to point out how the value of Indian life has changed. As you were saying, it's important to compare it to 100 years ago. But even 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, things were not like this, Professor Nalapur. Then what has changed now?
Well, what has changed is that, the fact is that the view of government is no longer a view through an elite lens. As Sumit very correctly said, if you were part of the elite, then, well, you were looked after. But if you were not part of the elite, then nobody cared for you. That lens has gone. And now, irrespective of whether you're elite or non-elite or whichever segment of society you come from, you matter. Every one of the 1.4 billion citizens of India matters, and matters equally. So I think that is a very big change. And that is a change because the leadership of this country itself has come from the people. That leadership has not come from the elite with a silver spoon or a golden spoon or a platinum spoon, but no spoon at all. And knowing that, the Prime Minister is therefore very cognizant of the travails of the Indian people and very respectful of the Indian people. And that respect is now demonstrated in the actions of the government in treating everybody equally, irrespective of whether they belong to the elite or not.
Yes, let me quickly bring you, Sumit, on the various examples. The most recent one, of course, being the one at sea with the Norfolk ship that, of course, was hijacked, and the rescue, of course, was very daring. The relief showed on the people's faces, and they just came out and said one thing: Bharat Mata ki Jai, Sumit. We all saw what happened at the Silkyara tunnel recently in Uttarkashi. We all saw what happened in Sudan. We all saw what happened in Israel and Ukraine as well of late, Sumit.
You see, Uday, if you look at the things, one thing you will find common in all these operations. Anybody to everybody. Forget the religion, forget the caste, forget the state, forget the linguistic, forget the skin color, forget everything else. एक चीज आपको हर जगह मिलेगी, भारत माता की जय. That is common what you will see in all these videos and all these people happening. Now, whenever we have a rescue, there's a minister who is standing at the tarmac, and there's a minister who is standing at the aero bridge and handing one flower to each, one flower to each. So why should a cabinet minister bother to go and do that? Last time you had Mr. Sindhya, your General VK Singh, go there. When we had the rescue in Yemen, we had this anti-aircraft guns going, and Mr. Singh, VK Singh being Army General, he landed there and managed the rescue. Ukraine, our ministers were on the ground. Uttarkashi, we had one chief minister and two cabinet ministers on the ground. So when we are doing these ops, it's not only, only by military, your job is to do it. No. The politician is involved, the administration is involved, and there's a holistic approach of a country as such. Now, it is not the, okay, there's a Navy ops that Navy we bothered, bhai kya karna aap dekho. No, the whole country gets involved, and that is the when people on the ground see the concern. Unfortunately, I will be direct. In some countries, you might, in a country like China, you might count, okay, we lost 200, 500 laborers. But in our country, we call them Shramjeevis. We call them Shramjeevis who are contributors and builders. Our Prime Minister has lunch with them. Our Prime Minister showers petals on them. This is the difference which you will not see in any other nation. So usually, unfortunately, in this human era, the laborers are treated as laborers. But even in our country, we shower petals on them. That is how the status is elevated. Now, sailor is a sailor. They may say, okay, unfortunately, things happen in the sea. No, things do not happen in the sea. We'll send our people to rescue you. You're a student in Ukraine. Oh, we have given you the warning. You still went to Ukraine. No, but things go wrong. We'll go and get you. If something happens in Israel, we'll send our people and get people from Israel. We'll get them from Yemen. Even if the anti-aircraft guns are blazing, we'll get our people from the Yemen. And then people, I mean, at the politicians, at the military leadership, at the embassies, everybody is coordinating, Uday. Everybody is coordinating. Everybody is working as one team. It's not pass the buck. Aapka kaam hai, aap dekho. It is not like that. When everybody works together and we as a nation have a collective response, and never forget that the Honorable Prime Minister and the Raksha Mantri and all, they are, Amit Baisha, who is the Minister of Cooperation, he is watching everything. He wants to be updated every 3 hours. What happened to the rescue? How the things are happening? What happened in Uttarakhand, the tunnel thing, you had two cabinet ministers and one chief minister literally camping there. In other countries, in out of 203 countries in the world, where would you see such a thing happen? Look at a country like China, where even nobody will know what happened. Look at some of the Islamic countries where nobody will know what happened. How many people died making stadiums for FIFA in Qatar? So who is bothered there? Did anybody bother there? Who went to see them? These people. They say, okay, you had a contract, we'll give you insurance. But in India, it's not about contract. It's not about insurance. It's about the human lives and sending message that the human lives and the Indian lives matter. These are things increase the national pride. Go and talk to the few crore NRIs who are living out of India today. Their passport might be Indian, or their passport, they might have changed their passports. But when these things happen, the heart swells with pride. Somebody is there to back you up if things go wrong. There's a country where we can go, and there's a country which will take care of us. This has changed after the Prime Minister Modi came into picture. Look at Warren Anderson. How many people did he slaughter? We gave him a car. We gave him a plane to go out. It's a true. I mean, India gave him that. That day, government gave him that. But if it is Prime Minister Modi, even up to the last man and the last matter, we matter in Qatar about the 8 naval officers. I mean, the world had already declared that nothing can be done. Then there was a press release from HMO. We are handling it confidentially. And one fine day, we know, okay, the death sentence is no longer there. So these are the kind of diplomatic wins which is elevating the stature of India. Behind the scenes, behind how many negotiations happen, what kind of things happen, how many strings are pulled, and how many people are working tirelessly, which includes the diplomats, which includes the military, which includes the politicians, which includes the complete administration and their backup teams. They are working 24/7 to make it happen. Even what we did yesterday, we would have taken some support and assistance from some others. But as a country, we have shown that we can protect our assets without any alliance. How many countries in the world can exactly claim that and prove it when push comes to shove within 24 hours? That is new India. That is the India under Prime Minister Modi. India always had the capability to, deliver, but that political will was not there. That honest leadership was not there. That capability to deliver, the enhancement of that was not there. You would say, oh, unka kaam hai, aap unko file aage kar do, let them look into it. No. Now today, that collective thing, yes, India, Indian pride, Indian people, that is what has changed, Uday. And this is sending message to 1.4 billion Indians in India and our millions of Indians, brothers and sisters who live out of India. We are watching your back. We will not leave you there. No man will be left alone. This is the new motto of New India. No man will be left behind. If you are under Indian flag and Indian passport, we are there to look for you. Uday.
All right, let me quickly, in fact, take that to Major Katoch as well on what has really changed, what has led to this dignity, this value now for Indian lives. What has made things change from what they were not just 100 years ago, as I started out the show with Major Katoch, but from 40, 30, 20 years ago as well.
Uday, I have seen this change happening from 2014 onwards. That is the time when the Narendra Modi government came in, and Sushma ji was the External Affairs Minister. Now, obviously, it was driven by the Prime Minister, but the execution on the ground was done by the EAM, the External Affairs Minister. And the first distinct thing which happened, I mean, we leave aside all these great stories that we have heard about bringing back the Indians. But the first thing which happened was that our embassies were told to be very, very empathetic to every single citizen. Now, that was a sea change. It was never there. There was a sense of alienation which we would get from our own embassies. But that changed. And because that changed, those countries started looking at India with a different lens. You see my own relatives in Singapore and elsewhere, they tell me that when they go and people say, okay, you are from India, there is a degree of respect which did not exist earlier. Now, it is always the political leadership which gets involved. You see, when we take that the operation which took place in Yemen, where we got out the Indian nationals. Now, there was a bloody war going on with the Saudis at that time. And the Saudis were bombarding that place. It was the Indian political leadership which actually, through MBS, we got them to give a 2 hours window of which there would be no firing. And, we utilized those 2 hours to get them back or to at least get them onto a safer place and then evacuate them. General V.K. Singh was there. Now, it is these instances, every small thing, even when you look at what happened in Ukraine, the way, the meticulousness with which that operation was planned, it required political leadership of the highest order. Of course, it required the administrative machinery down below. But I'm afraid if you don't have the top rung that actively involved, well, it may not actually work in that manner. In this present sea rescue, I think the important thing is, again, the messaging. Now, India did not join the US-led naval coalition of about 20-odd countries, which is still a work in being. And they're calling it Operation Prosperity Garden. Now, I think the Indian thinking was reasonably clear. You are looking after the Red Sea. You are better placed to do it. But the vast tract, the slocks in the Indian Ocean, the Indian Navy is better placed to do it, and we will do it there. And when the first hint of trouble came with the latest ship Leela, the MV Leela, well, the Indian Navy reacted as soon as they got the distress call, and we rescued all the sailors there. Now, it was a marvelous operation. There's absolutely no doubts about it. But we must remember, these things take place because there is synergy, as both my co-panelists have very rightly brought out, from the base right up to the apex leadership. I am quite convinced it is led by the Prime Minister himself. Otherwise, these things don't take place. The Prime Minister, his cabinet colleagues, and then it filters down to the bureaucracy, to the diplomatic services, to the armed forces, to everybody. And everybody knows that, okay, we will do this. If something goes wrong, well, we are doing it because it is our country which is involved. And with that faith, I think we are moving now. Every action which we take, I think the stature of the country is going up. And I, as an Indian, feel very, very proud. Uday.
All right. Well, let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.